Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, Holiday Inn Express, the Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn, Russell Street Report, the original Green Turtle, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
In April 1959, Art Wall won the Masters, edging out Carey Middlecoff and Arnold Palmer by finishing birdie, 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 par birdie. 1 month later, Ocean City Golf Club celebrated the opening of their first 18 holes. That course has been transformed now into one of the most scenic golf layouts on the East Coast. Come experience 36 of the most beautiful and challenging holes you'll find anywhere. Ocean City Golf Club in Ocean City, Maryland.
Another edition of the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, home of the Ravens, 93.5 The Beach. We are broadcasting from the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City with Ravens Roost 44. Give yourself a It is week number 10 in the NFL, week number 9 for your 6-2 Baltimore Ravens. Coming up, we're going to recap the 25-15 win over the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk news and notes, also recap the rest of the AFC North, and preview the upcoming game against the Oakland Raiders at 1 o'clock at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. The Ravens Wrap Show brought to you by, of course, the original Green Turtle, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, Bud Light, the Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Geico, the Ocean City Golf Club, jctickets.net, and the Holiday Inn Express. Mike Bradley from 105.7 The Fan of Baltimore. To my left, OC Local, host of, what are all the golf shows that you got there?
Resort Golf Guide, Endless Golf, and doing a show now in Myrtle Beach, Mike.
Living the life. Very nice.
I get to hang out with Papa. That's the best part.
There you go. Bobby Vermillion back with us. Bobby, welcome back. How are you?
It's
I
great
wish
to be
I
here.
had his life. Trust me.
And, you all know Papa, owner, of course, of the original Green Turtle and scratch golfer as well, right? Mm-hmm. Welcome back this year. First time up as guest?
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. I like being with all you guys. It's great.
And Steve Slaza, who's a member of Ravens Roost 44, also got a pretty extensive coaching background in football and lacrosse. Welcome back, Steve. Always good to have your analysis.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, 25-15 win. It's certainly a game of quarters. A tale of the first and fourth quarter and then the second and third quarter. I've got to harken back to that 9-6 win that we had against Kansas City. It's better to win ugly than lose pretty. And, the other night I'm sitting with a good friend of mine who's a big Eagles fan. He's from Philadelphia, watching him just have to go through the pains of the Eagles and watching their tough season. This team is 6-2. Again, it didn't exactly look pretty for 4 quarters. The second and third quarter was tough. 6-2, second best record in the AFC, and some amazing numbers, guys. This is the third straight season that the Ravens have gone 6-2 to start out the season. That's phenomenal. I mean, you think about that. That's 18-6 over the last 3 years. That's a great start. Also, this year they won 5 of 6 games. And here's a stat. Kind of neat. 67 consecutive games without having a losing record. That's the NFL's longest active streak. You got to go back to 2008. That would have been John Harbaugh's rookie year as a coach, all right, to go back to when we've been below 500 coming into a game. So since that Week 6 in 2008, we've had a winning record going into every game. Again, just another example of the model of success we've had. So, hey, it's not pretty 25-15, Bobby Vermillion, but we will certainly take it.
I think you're right, and I wonder, did you ever read John Gehrig those stats? Because he's Mr. Negative about the Ravens.
Yeah, we haven't seen him in a long while, guys.
I wish he was here tonight, Yeah. But there are a lot of Ravens fans, and you've heard a lot. They have been winning ugly. Not a whole lot of pretty wins this year, particularly on the road, the 2 wins that we do have on the road. And I tell you, that's just the way that it's always been, it seems like, with the Ravens. Even, over the years, back to 2000, the Super Bowl year. I mean, that year, we went how many games without scoring a touchdown? We make it to the Super Bowl. So it's never been a pretty situation. We thought this year, I think, with the new offense in play, I think we're still learning. We still have a lot of young players on the offensive line, still some young receivers out there trying trying to make a difference, both at tight end and of course, Torrey Smith in his second year. So it's not always going to be perfect, but I think the fact that we're 6-2 is where we need to be right now. But definitely, no question, if you're a Ravens fan, I know we got Oakland this week, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're lurking right now because they look pretty good.
We'll get to them when the time comes. Papo, you win a game, not just a game, but a division game. It's almost as if you've won 2 games right there. And the Ravens continue their streak of consecutive wins against division opponents. They've put themselves in a good position to start out the year.
Well, let's not forget, we're this close to being 7-1. We should have beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we played in college, Bob and I played together at Salisbury, and Steve played, sports, and you got away with a win. You walked out and you said, "Man, we won the game. Thank God we won the game. Yeah, we won the game." Didn't matter if how you played. Even if you played terrible, you won the game. Everybody in Baltimore is walking around like, "Oh my God, look how bad we're playing." Look at we're 6-2, but we're stinking it up everywhere. We're 6-2. Should be 7-1. So I think Ravens fans should be awful happy. They could be in Philadelphia. They could be in New York.
Could be in Cleveland.
Could be in Cleveland.
Could be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
When Steven was down there, we talked about this. He goes, "Man, everyone's always talking about, how bad we're playing, how Flacco doesn't look good, and we're getting, Mike Preston. He wrote the article 2 weeks ago in the paper. I don't know if you read it in the Sun paper. Yeah. Ravens are lucky. They're lucky. Have they been lucky? Since Dilfer won the Super Bowl, have we been lucky all these years? I mean, this team always goes to the playoffs. Flacco's one of you can say what you want, and I don't know where John is. He's not around. But Flacco is a good quarterback. And what did Steve Bisciotti say? What's the difference with the Ravens? Remember what he said?
Yeah, why we've made the playoffs 4 straight years.
Joe Flacco goes, "Finally, I got a quarterback." Goes, "Look at all the quarterbacks we've been through." So if you're from Baltimore, you got to be pretty happy right now. And we're going into Oakland, and hopefully, we're 7-point favorites against Oakland? Is that what
Yeah, 7.5.
So we're looking pretty good right now. I'm happy.
Yeah, Steve, we're also very introspective about our team, and we never seem to look outside and give the opponent any credit. They're paid to win the game too. And just look in general, every team has got flaws, and not every team though in the AFC is 6-2. The Ravens have the second best record behind Houston. Again, hey, let's savor this a little bit. It's easy to beat up our team, but not every team's perfect. Every team has some flaws.
And we were talking, Papo, before the segment there, and that would have been a very easy game for us to lose. And maybe in years past, we would have done that. And we played a great first quarter, and the next best thing was we played a great second half of the fourth quarter. To get those 10 points there, 11 points there, that was very big for us to come back and win that game. But if you look at that team was probably towards the second half of that game, they were stronger than us on both sides of the line. And that would have been a very easy game because they were wearing us down offensive line. But we managed to come back and come out and have a nice touchdown there and a field goal at the end. So I thought it was a great win.
I thought Bobby, John Harbaugh said it well after the game. He said, not every team could go on the road, throw a few punches, and then take what they had to take on the road because Cleveland countered back and they threw a few haymakers at us. The second and third quarter were brutal, but we hung in there. We didn't make any major mistakes. We didn't turn over the football. They did twice. We hung in there on the road, division opponent. Fourth quarter, we turned it back on. We were able to get a touchdown from Torrey Smith, and then we added a field goal at the end. So not every team can do that. The Ravens, though, again, that's an example of a battle-tested, tough John Harbaugh team that can throw a punch, but then take a bunch on the road, but then still come back and get the win at the end.
I tell you, Mike, it's just human nature. We're always tougher on the ones that we love. Yeah. And because we love the Ravens, we love the team, we're going to be a little tough on the team that we care about. And you're right, though. It is a divisional game. It is on the road. Those games are always very difficult to win. And Cleveland has been in just about every game they played this year. They're really close, and so you have to give them credit. They've had some good draft picks. A lot of guys are playing. If you look at their roster, there's not a whole lot of guys that are playing on that team that you'd say, hey, that's a bad draft choice. Yeah. I mean, they've got some good players on that team. Joe Thomas is one of the best left tackles in football. Everybody's talking about Suggs not having a great game. Well, he was up against one of the best, and it's his second game back. Look at the bright spot. I mean, Courtney Upshaw played pretty well again this week. Ellerby's playing good. So you've got some young guys stepping up. Let's try to make that glass half full and not half empty, and say that we're 6-2, move forward, and let's see what happens with Oakland.
Papo, and I think we've talked with Steve Bisciotti about this. We've talked about it on the program amongst ourselves. I think we underestimate how difficult it is to win football games in the NFL with the salary cap, with the parity. Hey, a win is a win, as you said a couple minutes ago.
They were comparing Alabama. I don't know who was talking about this. Comparing Alabama can play in the NFL. Come on.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier said Alabama could beat the worst team.
This is the NFL. Every guy on that team was their best player in high school, their best player in college. So Cleveland is a good team. It doesn't, 2-6. It's not a great record. We were playing them in Cleveland. That's still tough to win on the road.
And they had won
especially
two
the
straight.
Ravens.
They had won two straight.
They were, and the fans were starting to get into it the second, third quarter. And like you say, we were taking punches left and right. And they came back. Special teams played really good. I will disagree with Bobby on one thing. Our defensive line is struggling. I mean, if you looked how much time they had.
Well, I think the defensive line's
Oh,
but the
my
one
Lord.
bright spot is Upshaw. He's the one guy. Arthur Jones actually had a pretty decent game this week.
He did.
Not great. Haloti Nod is playing on one leg and one arm.
that's right.
So we're going to struggle. And you're right. That's the shining flaw that we have right now is getting to the quarterback, and that's a big problem. And it's exposing our defensive backs.
That's exactly right.
And
That's
I think
exactly
that's
right.
going to be something that has to be addressed. And they're watching the film, Mike. So they're going to try to address that each and every week. It's kind of interesting that Dean. I know you're probably going to talk about this, but Dean Pease moved upstairs into the box so he can get a better view of what's happening, and I think that's a big move. But hopefully that will help out a pass rush. But that's exactly what we need. We have to put more pressure on the quarterback.
And that's a good point because you're talking about not getting a pass rush, putting all the pressure on the defensive backs and safeties. How much is Ed Reed going to take? If he's got to keep creeping up, and start making plays up on the line, he's a pretty vulnerable guy. He's got a bad neck. If he goes down, all of our superstars are down on defense. Now we got some issues. So we got to protect the safeties, the cornerbacks, and try to get a little more pressure on the quarterback. And we're not doing that.
I thought Dean Pease did a nice job coming out of the bye, where they actually had, in one play, they actually had 6 guys on the line, and they had